This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. On this episode, we have an amazing guest. So excited for this one from Fantasy and Frames. It's the one and only Stacy Perez. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Obviously, we're gonna hear your story. It's a really cool story, a little cool backstory when it comes to how you found this industry and this community. Because you're a busy person, right? There's a lot. You've done a lot in your life, but here we are. You're a huge part of this industry. This community, this community loves Fantasy and Frames. If you go to the Fantasy Football Expo, definitely one of the most popular groups of people out there. And it's because, Jorge knows how to find great people, and Jorge himself is a phenomenal leader, right?
Oh yeah, Jorge's amazing. I am so lucky and so blessed to have connected with them. And I was chatting with Jorge this afternoon, he's just one of my favorite people.
Yeah, he's a good one for sure. Yeah. Now let's talk about your role over at Fantasy and Frames. What are you up to? What is your role with that great brand?
So right now during the season, I host the Waiver Wire Watch Party. It's kind of a mouthful. We changed the name of it from just like the Waiver Show to this. We started doing it on Monday nights, kind of incorporating a little bit of a Monday Night Football watch party, doing some waivers, doing, some just like fun chat about what happened on Sunday. So I'm doing that during the season. And then during the off season, I host the draft show over there. So we do a bunch of live drafts. And, we bring on some people to chat about different strategies, different formats. We try to get into a little bit of everything during the off season, just to kind of keep it from getting a little too stale, like to do some best balls and some redraft and, some high stakes. We do some Scott Fishbowl drafts. So it's a good time.
Well, the off season is obviously built with a lot of anticipation for what's to come, whether it's the draft and obviously the season ahead. So it's great to have resources out there that people can go to and experience the kind of the thrill, the hype, the excitement for what's to come. I think that's a special part about the fantasy off season. What else are you up to in this space? Because obviously you do also contribute elsewhere.
I do. So right now I host the Sunday tailgate on it's Dynasty Degens, and we stream on PlayerProfiler now. So it's on Sunday mornings at 11, just like a really fun kind of, like last minute fantasy advice, start sits. We get some injury updates as they're rolling in, once 11 o'clock hits and your phone just like constantly gives you all the notifications. So we're doing that. I bring on somebody different every single week. And it's just like, it's a lot of fun, just kind of like a nice little hour-long thing. Just get you ready for Sunday.
I love it. Now, obviously, you have a passion for sports. There's no way you found this community without that. Let's dial back to where it all began. Obviously, you're born and raised Tampa, as far as I'm aware. Talk to me about your early years enjoying sports.
Oh man, so my family are big sports people. My parents are from Missouri and Kentucky, so I grew up with a lot of basketball, a lot of college basketball, a lot of baseball. Big Cardinal fans up there, big Kentucky Wildcat stuff. So really into those kind of sports. And then my parents moved down to Tampa before I was born, and so my dad was just got really into the Bucks, big football fan, and then recently over the last maybe 10 years or so, I've really gotten into hockey. So that was not something that my family was super into, just because they didn't. I mean, the St. Louis Blues, I don't know how long they've been a thing, but they weren't really a thing back then. But so so just kind of got in with my family, and just kind of growing up in a big sports fan family.
And a diehard hockey fan, though. Did you say you're season ticket holders?
Yes. Yeah, I have season tickets to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Probably, honestly, one of the best things I spend my money on.
It's got to be so fun. I can't imagine.
Oh, it's like live hockey. I never really was like, oh, I don't really know hockey, but then I started going and learning about it. And then obviously, like I'm in Florida. It is hot here, 11 out of 12 months of the year. So if I can go for 40 plus games and sit in nice, cool air conditioning and watch, grown men fight, it's a good time. So I really enjoy my Lightning tickets. I always say I'm never going to give those up.
Well, and you're also a Braves fan. How did that come about?
So it's my sports fandoms are a little eclectic.
I
But
love it.
yeah, so the Rays were not in existence when I was a kid and growing up. And so, growing up in like the early 90s, you've got TBS. And what was on TBS every day? A Atlanta
Braves.
Braves game.
Yeah.
And so that was on TV all the time. And then, like I was around like 12, 13 or so, like I had a huge crush on Chipper Jones, just like every girl in the South, around that age. So that's just kinda went from there. Chipper is involved in a number of passwords to things that I have that's a little embarrassing.
I love it. No, it is funny that you bring up the TBS thing because, same thing. If you grew up in that era, it's
Yeah.
true. Like I grew up with the Mariners. They were
Mhm.
not good. Griffey came, he kind of saved some excitement, but at the same time, they still weren't good in his early years.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever got to a point they were actually good. I mean, a little bit. 95 was a good
Yeah,
year, and then
yeah.
2001
Same
once
for
they
us.
left. But yeah, but the Braves, I will say early 90s, I was the kid with the Braves
Oh, yeah.
starter jacket, up in
Yep.
Seattle. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
love the Mariners, but guess what? On TBS, I got to
Yep.
watch the Braves, every,
Exactly.
multiple nights a week. So I
Oh,
was a
yeah.
Braves fan for a good chunk of time because of
Nice.
TBS. How about that?
I love it. Well, I'm rooting for the Mariners. I hope, somebody gets rid of the Dodgers, get them out of here. So I would love to see the Mariners win it all. I think that'd be fantastic.
Let's do it. Pressure's on. We've had a,
Yeah.
a rough couple games, so we'll see what happens. But for sports fandom, though,
Yeah.
obviously highs and lows. What's the
Yep.
worst sports moment, loss, or whatnot that you've ever experienced?
So this has to do with the Braves. Probably Chipper Jones's last game, before he retired. It was like one of those weird one-off like playoff play-in games, and I think they were playing the Cardinals if I remember it right. It was just like terrible game. There was a couple questionable calls, and at the end of the game, they were losing terribly. Like everybody knew that like that was going to be it. They were going to be out of it, and he hits like a pop up and he's out before he even gets to first base. Just so upsetting. Oh,
So
just
brutal.
deflating. Yeah.
How about on the other side? What's your favorite sports moment of all time?
Oh, so I've got two for you. So I got to go to the World Series in 2021. And
Nice.
I didn't get to see them win because they won in Houston, but I was there for game 4 and it was unbelievable. Like I think just something that cool. I don't know that I'll ever get to experience again, but it was phenomenal. And then I also got to be in the arena when the Lightning won in 2021, the Stanley Cup. 2020 they were in Canada with COVID and everything, so nobody got to see that. But here in 2021, they were here in Tampa, and I got to be in the building when they won that game. And I mean, like, we were crying, like it was amazing. Just such a cool experience.
Well, and what a year. Obviously, you're
Yeah,
with those two experiences really
yeah.
close to each other.
It
I
was
love
it
it.
was weird, and it was like in the summer. It was strange because they were still kind of getting back on the hockey schedule, so it was a lot later in the year. So you're talking like weird, like summer, like June, July, or something like that. And then in November, I think it was when the World Series at the beginning of November. I think, yeah,
Oh, what I love it. It's a great
great.
great thing about sports is moments like that.
Oh yeah.
So when along the lines did you discover fantasy sports?
So I was a kid and my dad decided he was gonna play in a league with some friends and, I really wasn't too into football then. It was one of those things where, like, the Bucks were terrible. So there wasn't a lot of motivation to watch them, and, my dad liked to listen to it on the radio when we would drive around and do errands on the weekend, and as a kid, that is miserable listening to sports on the radio. So, I had really, like, a negative kinda connotation with football for a while, but he wanted to play and he gave me a magazine and was like a magazine, right? That's how long ago that was. He's like, here, like, let's learn up on some players. Let's figure out how to do this and everything. And so that was my first time playing fantasy.
I love it. So what hooked you? Like when you first started enjoying the game, what was it that stood out to you?
Oh man, just the players, and I've always been like a really big. I don't play any IDP at all, but I love watching defense. So I remember back in the days, with like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Sean Taylor, and those guys, and I just remember just really being so fascinated by all that. We played that year with my dad when I was a little bit younger, and then I don't know what happened with the league if they kept going or not the next year, but that was the only time we had played together. So it was a while before I picked it up again when I was in high school, a little bit older.
So any appreciation for my LOB, the Legion of Boom, that
Yes.
Seahawks defense? I mean, that was
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
special. I'm
Oh my
biased, but I mean,
gosh.
so good, right?
No, no, those guys were great too, and like I said, I would just appreciate watching good defense, so much, but I can't get into IDP. It just takes too much. I've only got so much brain space left.
Did any of that come from the Bucks? I mean, that what
Yeah.
early 2000 team. I mean, that
Oh,
was the
yeah,
heart
like
and soul
Warren
of that
Sapp
team.
and, like, John
Yeah,
Lynch and all those guys. Yeah, because that was, what I mean, I can't remember any of the offensive guys at
yeah.
all. I'm trying to think right now. Vinny Testaverde is probably the only one that comes to mind.
I love it.
Right? But, yeah, but, like, you always remember all the I guess Mike Allstott too, I can't forget him. But, yeah,
Yeah, he
you
was.
always remember the Warren Sapps and the John Lynches and all those guys.
Yeah, definitely one of the best defenses of all
Yeah.
time. So with fantasy, how many leagues are you playing in these days? Like this year, how many leagues do you think you're playing?
I feel like this community makes me feel a lot less bad about the addiction and the number that I'm going to tell you, because when I tell other people that aren't really into a lot of fantasy, they're horrified. But it's 22, and that's like
22.
nothing compared to some people. Like I've heard like numbers up in the hundreds.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm that much of a degenerate until I talk to people that this is not their everyday.
It's just 22. That's it.
That's all. No big deal.
So, do you have one league though that matters the most? Like, is there a league that is number one on your list?
I don't know about number one, but I've got a couple home leagues that I've had for about 10 years or so. At nine, this is our ninth year. That mean a lot to me, that it's, like a lot of friends, and some are take it a little bit more seriously than others, but it's just people that I've known for a long time that we always have a good time with it. We always do a fun live draft, and every once in a while there's a new person that comes in, and it's a lot of fun. But the ones that probably mean the most to me are probably the ones I spend the most money on, to be honest.
Okay, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
competitive. I love it. I love it. So, with those home leagues, are any
Yeah.
fun traditions? I mean, obviously, you said live draft, but anything fun that you can share? Because there's a lot of people that listen to
Yeah.
this content. They love the core of the fantasy experience, the fun stuff that makes leagues
Yeah.
special.
Man, I wish I had something fun to give you, but I don't. We are a pretty vanilla league. We do our fun live draft. Everybody gets together, like a sports bar. But
Yeah.
that's really it. We don't have any punishments or anything like that. Nothing crazy. No crazy like scoring formats or anything. We're pretty. I would say pretty normal.
It's just good old competition.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
that is great. I think that if a league doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it thrives because people have been connected for multiple
Yeah.
years, and you look forward to it, and those stakes are high. I mean, that's
Yeah.
more than enough to keep the league fun.
Yeah.
Who's your biggest rival in a fantasy league, though? Think about all the years you've played. Who's like the one person you just can't lose to?
Gosh, I had a hard time with this. I couldn't think of a particular person. I think for my biggest rival right now is the injury list, because I am getting beat up all over the place. I am struggling with my injuries this year, big time. I can't think of one specific person though. I wish I
Okay.
could. I cannot.
That's fair. No, that's good. So, what about settings and formats? Like you said,
Oh,
you don't play IDP. Are there certain
no.
settings and formats that you prefer?
I do love a good best ball. Best ball is so fun to me. It's one of those where, because I hate slow drafts. I'll just tell
Uh-huh.
you, I will rage on slow drafts for a little bit here. Is I like to have, here's my time. I've set it aside, my 2 hours I'm going to spend doing this draft, and then I move on, right? I don't want to be 2 weeks in getting emails, having you're on the clock, or getting a notice from somebody saying, hey, you're taking too long, to make your pick. So I am not a slow draft kind of girl, but I love a good best ball. I can just sit down and, rip one of those real quick, especially if it's like one of those 20-second underdog clocks. Those are a lot of fun. Love those. But, I love a good 12 team PPR. Give me a good full PPR. I don't want to have to do any extra math. Just give me that 1 point, right? And maybe a little tight end premium in there sprinkled in. But that's a lot of fun for me. I'm terrible at Dynasty. I am not a Dynasty. It's because I don't like trading. But yeah, give me a good redraft or a fun quick best ball.
So when it comes to content and creating content and all
Yeah.
that, so rewind back to when you first started
Yeah.
playing fantasy. Do you remember the analysts? Do you remember some of the content creators that you followed early on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. I remember the first podcast I ever listened to was with Matthew Berry back when they were the 06010. crew, and him and Stefania and Field and Daniel and everything, like listening to them. And I just remember a friend of mine had recommended it to me. And so it was a time when podcasts were just starting to get like really popular. And I just remember thinking like, this is like talking football with my friends. Like, this is so great. And I mean, I listened to them religiously every day. The minute it came out, like I was like hit and play, couldn't get enough of it. So that was one of my absolute favorites.
When did you discover the fantasy community? Just
Yeah.
all of us people, right? When did you discover the community, and what
Yeah.
inspired you to kind of get involved?
So probably when I started playing the Scott Fishbowl, I
Okay.
had heard about it. I think Matthew Baird actually interviewed Scott Fish like on one of the episodes. And I just was like, oh, that sounds really cool, And I started following him on Twitter. And I remember he had posted about like, oh, hey, we're looking for some more women to join, like drop a comment if you want to get in. And I thought, why not? And that was kind of like one of the first leagues that I was in that wasn't just like a home league, like a friend, just friend based or colleague based. And that's how I kind of started hearing about all these different podcasts and all these different, people that were out there doing analysis. And I was just like blown away. Like, wow, there's like a whole nother world out here that I didn't even know about. That was just mind blowing.
What was your first SFB?
Let's see. This is my 5th year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
Either
So
19 or 2020, one of the two.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously that probably got you more involved on
Yeah.
Twitter at the time,
Yeah.
I would assume, right?
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
where people started trying to find you, like found you and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I had originally got on Twitter, and I think one of the only people I followed was, like, Adam Schefter, right? And it was just to solely get updates on my guys and who was playing and who wasn't playing, and I never, like, did any sort of interaction at all. I was just following. But yeah, that kinda led me into, like, connecting with more friends through that, and, we had our group chat like everybody does with their, specific division and everything. And Zach Berger from Fantasy and Frames, that's how he was in the Orlando League. That's where I was. And that's how I kind of got connected with him and with Joey Wright also.
Yeah, gotta love Joey. Gotta love
Oh my
Joey.
gosh, the best.
So okay, and there's a couple Florida guys right there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's how, because it was right when they had started doing, I played 1 year, and then I think the next year is when they started doing the live drafts.
Okay, okay.
And it was in Orlando, and I was just like, you know what, that sounds like fun. Why not? Let's just go. And so I drove over to Orlando, and Joey was literally the first person that I met there. And just, I mean, he's just so incredibly friendly and welcoming, and just made me feel like, like I knew everyone. So I just met him, and then met several. I think I met Faith Ennis from Women Fantasy Football. I think she was there too that year. So just got connected with a lot of really, really cool people.
And then when it comes to just like your first content in the
Yeah.
industry, was it with Fantasy and Frames? And talk about like
Yeah.
kind of timeline the last few years with
Yeah,
that.
so it was so crazy. So it was like after the season, I remember like it was in January, and Zach had gone on in our fishbowl group chat and had said, "Hey, look, I'm with Fantasy and Frames. We're looking to expand. Just like hit me up if you're interested." And it must have just gotten me on the right day because I never thought about anything like that before. And I just said, you know what, that kind of sounds like fun. Why not? And I just right then, just very impulsive, just DM'd him back. And like a week later, I'm talking with Jorge and about coming on and joining with Fantasy and Frames. And then all of a sudden I'm like doing the Dynasty show with our guys at the time, Tyler and Bill. And it happened so fast.
Oh, that's amazing. So obviously, professionally, you're an attorney,
I
correct?
am guilty. Yep.
So how does this like how are you balancing all of this, right? Like obviously a lot of
Yeah.
you bring a lot of great energy into the space, you
Thanks.
contribute and doing a lot of great things.
Thank
And
you.
again, like in these last few years, especially with the
Yeah.
expo, and we'll get into the expo in a little
Mhm.
bit, but you're doing a lot in this space, but you're
Yeah.
also professionally, busy.
Yeah.
Like how are you doing all this?
Yeah, I don't have a social life. That's the thing. I'm just 24/7. I'm either at work or, doing fantasy. No, I mean, that's partly true, but, I'm very, very blessed to work for myself, and have my own practice. So it's kind of just me really that I'm accountable for. So I don't have to ask, for time off or anything like that. And I kind of build my schedule, around, other things and kind of be really flexible in that way. So that's really how I make it work, is that I can, have the ability to do all those different things and kind of, handle my time the way that it works best for me.
That's amazing. And so then
Yeah.
you're meeting people, you
Yeah.
decide to go to the expo. Like what went into that decision? Because that's kind of a random thing too. Coming,
Totally.
just deciding to go to the fantasy football expo, not
Oh,
knowing
yeah.
what to expect. Talk about your expo experience over the last few years.
Yeah. So like I said, I started with Fantasy and Frames in January. So we had, several months before the expo. So, working with them, and I'm hearing everybody talk about the expo. Who all's going? Are we going? Like, all the different things, right? And so I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. Everybody from the group's going, like, I should go. That'll be fun. And so I'd heard a little bit about it before, but I didn't know that much. And I always just kind of thought, well, that might be fun to do someday. But since all the guys were going, I was like, yeah, why not all go? I've got the time, so let's do it. And it just it was so neat to like get there and connect with people in person that I had only talked to online, or done, like a podcast with or something like that. And by that point, because then we're talking like, like early August, I've been doing it for a few months, so I got to know a lot more people. So it was really neat then to kind of go in and like, get to know in person and get to like meet people face to face, that I had been kind of making friends with for the last few months.
And then speaking on panels and like
Yeah,
really being involved at the
that
expo.
was the
Talk about, yeah,
craziest
talk about
thing.
that experience.
Oh my gosh. So Women in Fantasy Football did a women's panel my first year at the Expo. So that was 3 years ago now. And I got asked to participate, and I was like, I mean, I don't, sure, if you guys want me to, no problem. I don't, no, but it was such a great experience to get up there and talk with those, other women that were up there. I think, I'm trying to remember who all, like Gemma Martinez was up there. We had Casey, Kasem, and Britt Flynn, and my gosh, I'm trying to think of some others. I am sure I'm going to forget Kelly Singh. I'm trying not to forget anybody, but I'm sure I probably will. But it was amazing to go from like January, where I had never even thought about, doing any of this, in this capacity, to like all of a sudden it's August and I'm like on a women's panel at a fantasy football expo at the Football Hall of Fame. It was just unbelievable to me. I couldn't believe it, but it was such an honor to even be asked to do something like that. Like it was great.
What a whirlwind. I love it.
Yeah.
So what's been the most rewarding part of this journey for you? Discovering this
Yeah.
fantasy community and everything.
Probably the relationships. Not even probably, it is for sure the relationships, that I've been able to make, and, with people that I would have never come in contact with, like, would have no reason to, like, meet and to befriend and everything. And, earlier this year, I went to the Braves opening day with Keith Fleming from, with Fantasy and Frames. He lives in Atlanta. I've gotten to be really good friends with him and his wife, Brittany. And, I would have never met them had it not been for this. And now we're hanging out, going to ball games, all the time. And, like Wendy Early and I went to the combine and hung out together. And, like I said, just so many different people that I would have never connected with, had it not been for that. And just people that I consider just not even like friends because of fantasy football. Like, we will be lifelong friends, people that I talk to on a daily basis.
It's amazing, and a lot of people share that same story, right? Where they just
Yeah.
discover this world they didn't know existed, and all of a sudden they're making connections. And that's the cool thing about, the
Yeah.
Fantasy Football Expo. It's a great thing about Scott Fishbowl live
Oh, yeah.
drafts. Getting to meet people in your community or in people, beyond your community. It's pretty special. So I'm happy that you discovered it.
Yeah.
What advice? I mean, again, you kind of dove all in. What advice do you
Yeah.
have for people that do want to kind of follow those footsteps, get more involved in fantasy content creation, or just get more involved in the community?
Yeah. Actually, I thought of another expo story that's kind of funny. Can I share that real quick? Is that
Of
okay?
course, of
Okay.
course.
So after the women's panel, we're all kind of standing around, just kind of chit-chatting and stuff. And Bob Lund comes up, and he's telling us that they're going to be doing the expert draft, like mock draft panel
Mhm.
on that same stage, like right after. And I guess they were missing somebody. And so he was like, I need someone to go up there. And he was talking to Hema and I, and Hema was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So he's like, Stacy, can you go up there? And I was like, "Sure, Bob. Okay." I had no idea what we were doing, no clue. I didn't even have my phone with me. I had nothing to write with. So he puts me up there. I'm in the first seat, So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to come to me first, like on a draft. And Lawrence Jackson is sitting next to me. And I like, okay, one of these things is not like the other over here. Like, why am I up here? Like, this is ridiculous. I'm trying to get a hold of some of the Fantasy and Frames guys. I'm like, somebody bring me my phone. I don't want to look like an idiot up here. I want to have like be able to look up stats or something, you know. But it was so great. And then like I've done that the last couple of years. So like it's just been one of my favorite things at that. But it just started so wild. I just, like hopped on up there. But that I can kind of do a little segue there because that kind of would be some of my
Yeah.
advice for people is just do it. If you're interested in doing content, like, don't think, like, oh, I'm too busy. I'll do it when I'm not so busy because you're always going to be busy, right? There's always going to be
Yeah.
some excuse. Just jump in, just do it. And, I kind of have also kind of, like you can kind of feel like a little bit of imposter syndrome, like, oh, I don't really, have something, exciting or new to say. But I remember hearing this, and I wish I could directly quote it, but I'm never going to remember it. She's a NFL agent. She's actually Jalen Hurts' agent. Her name's Nicole Lynn. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her or not, but I've read her book and I've seen a few interviews with her, and she's somebody that I really look up to. And I remember saying like kind of similar, like there's so many agents and so few, players. Like, why do you want to get into this field? And she was like, look, there are a lot of people that, do the same thing, right? But you're going to connect with people that are looking to hear what you have to say, and they're going to appreciate what you bring to the table in the way that you do it, with your personality, with your thought process. And I think that's true for fantasy content too. Like, of course, there's so many people out there that do it too, but you're going to connect with the people, that are out there that you're meant to connect with. And so like, don't let that limit you. Don't let that stop you, or make you feel overwhelmed or anything. If you want to do it, just jump in and do it.
Yeah, that's a great segue and perfect answer. Great advice for sure. I think that it's true. Like, a lot of people are uncomfortable in those atmospheres or those environments, and sometimes it just takes a little nudge to see what can happen. And I think that
Yeah,
a lot of people, they take the risk, they take the chance to go to the expo for the first time. They might not. A lot of people don't know anybody. It was cool that you
right,
obviously had kind of a little bit of a team, but you're still
right.
kind of stepping into the unknown.
Hmm.
And I think the people that have taken the most away from those events are the ones that have kind of taken that leap, right?
Yeah,
And this community is so amazing when it comes to just
agreed.
embracing people. And
Oh yeah,
sure, there's drama here, drama there, but
of course.
for the most part, what an amazing group of people. And the
Yeah,
core of this community is so special. So again, I
agreed.
think it's a fantastic story. It's cool that you're doing everything you're doing, on top of everything you're doing, which
Thank
is still
you.
very, very impressive. So let's learn a little bit more about you too. Do some
Okay.
rapid fire questions. I'll just
Yeah,
throw out some questions.
let's do
Let me
it.
know what first comes to mind.
Okay.
What do you enjoy most about what you're doing in this industry?
I think it's the ability to, well, let me backtrack. I have been really, really just, I don't want to say blessed again, but yeah, to work with the groups that I work with because they have kind of let me have a lot of creative free reign in doing the kind of shows and bringing to life like the ideas that I've got and just kind of being really supportive with that. So I think that's kind of what I'm the most grateful for right now.
What are your short, long-term goals in this space?
Yeah, so I got to go to the combine this past year, and that was such a cool, incredible event. I got to go with press credentials with Women's Fantasy Football, and I never did anything like that in my life. So short term, I want to do something else. Like I want to go to a Super Bowl. I want to do something like that. I want to jump back in. Your first time you do like something like that, you go and you kind of learn. Here's what I would do differently the next time. And I definitely want to get some more opportunities to do stuff like that, to talk to players, to really kind of like dive into that like aspect of doing like our, fantasy football like content and everything. Long term, you know, I would love to get to a point where I could kind of scale my practice back and maybe do this, make this kind of hobby maybe a little bit more like, a little profitable. Like I hate saying it like that, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy it so much. I would love to be able to spend more time on that because you get busy with work, and I always think, gosh, all this work is just keeping me from doing fantasy football. Doing something that I like really enjoy. Not that I don't enjoy work, but it's just different, right? So just having this outlet, being able to do something that kind of just, like brings me so much joy. I would love to have the opportunity to do that on more of I probably never full time, but you never
Sure.
know. Like, yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely, more time devoted to that.
I love it. No, I can definitely relate to that answer. I love it. So, how about hobbies and interests outside of sports? That's kind of hard because I think your whole world surrounds
It
sports for the
does.
most part. But what do you got?
It does. You start thinking about that when someone asks you and you're like, "Oh my god, am I a little obsessed with sports?" Probably. But I'm a big reader. I love to read. I've connected with some of the girls in the fantasy community too that also really enjoy, are big bookworms too. So I love to do that. I love doing DIY projects, getting out there. Building something if I can, getting on YouTube, figuring out how to make something. I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are my 2
Okay.
big main hobbies.
Do you have a favorite author of all time or a favorite book of all time?
When I was younger, I was definitely into all the John Grisham books, that were out there. That's not why I went to law school, but, I definitely really enjoyed those, and I still do. And I think probably my favorite one of all time is gonna be, it was made to a movie with Matthew McConaughey. It was, A Time to Kill. Do you remember that? Like,
Oh yeah,
probably,
yeah,
like, 90s probably.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that is one of my all-time favorites.
All right. How about a favorite TV show?
Ooh. I feel like this is such a basic millennial answer, but I have to go with like The Office, Parks and Rec, Ted Lasso. Like those are going to be some of my favorites.
I mean, why stretch outside of those? Because those, I mean, they are the best probably.
Right?
How about an all-time favorite movie?
Oh gosh. Probably favorite movie. I wrote this down. Let me go back here. So I had to narrow it down to a series.
Okay.
I went with the any of the original Indiana Jones movies. I loved those as a kid. Anytime if I'm on, like looking for something to watch and that's on, I will stop and will watch whatever one is on. Doesn't matter if it's Raiders, Last Crusade. It does not matter. Like I'm gonna watch one of those. Those are excellent movies in my opinion.
I love it. It makes me think of theme parks too, with like,
Yeah,
so you are Florida. So do
yeah.
you have a favorite theme park in Florida?
Ooh, I love Epcot. Going
Okay.
doing
Yeah, yeah.
doing Epcot, you gotta go do the drink around the world. You've gotta
Yeah.
do that. You've gotta go for food and wine festival, and, just wear your stretchy pants that day. But yeah, and they've got the Guardians of the Galaxy ride
Yes.
now. That
Yes.
is my favorite all-time ride. It's
Yo, it's my
so good.
favorite all-time ride too. Yeah, we
Oh,
went last year. We've done it a couple times, but we went last year during Food and Wine.
yeah,
So now you're speaking my language.
yes.
And that ride is so good.
Right?
There's some people, they get
So
dizzy, they get
emotional,
some
yeah.
not motion. If you don't have motion sickness, that is
Oh.
the best ride on the planet.
Get a patch. I'm telling you, like, do
Okay.
whatever you need to do to be able to, like, ride that because it's amazing. I wish they would sell a ticket. Like, if I could just go and just repeatedly get in line and not do
Yeah.
anything else, I would buy a ticket for that.
We went like twice in a row, a little
Yeah.
glitch. My wife's a magician with that kind of stuff, and so we got twice in a row. Yes, definitely the best
Oh, yeah.
best ride on the planet.
Yep.
How about a favorite board game?
Probably Life. Did you ever play Life? Like,
Yeah,
the game
yeah,
of Life? Yeah, I
yeah.
really liked that one. Probably the cars. That's what did it for me. Little cars, putting the little people in your cars.
Okay, okay, okay. And I did miss sports movie. Do you have a favorite sports movie?
Yeah, A League of Their Own is gonna be one of my favorites. The Sandlot, those 2
Yeah,
are,
okay.
like, all time for me.
I love it. How about on the food side of things? What's your favorite type of food?
Oh, Italian. Give me a good chicken
Okay,
parm. That's
okay,
my favorite.
okay. How about a snack? What's a go-to snack?
Man, anything with chocolate and peanut butter is
Okay,
gonna be my jam. I love that combination.
okay. How about a beverage?
Ooh, a crispy fountain Coke.
What? One more time.
Yeah. You gotta have a nice crispy fountain Coke,
Okay,
and it
okay,
needs to be it's very specific of it, so it's gotta be in a styrofoam cup.
okay.
Don't come at me about the environment. It needs to be in a
Yeah.
styrofoam cup, and it's gotta be with crushed ice.
Okay. There you go. I mean,
Yeah,
there it is.
it
I
just
love it.
got so good.
How about on the music front? You have a favorite
Yeah.
band, artist, or musician?
Man, I like so many different, genres of music, but I probably one of my favorites I'm just thinking of it like who would I like pay the most to go see, right? I paid an absurd amount of money to go see Taylor Swift, and I don't regret it at all. But
Guilty.
I love Chris Stapleton.
Okay.
He is one
Okay.
of my very favorites. I've gotten to see him in concert once, and it was one of the best experiences.
Okay. Yeah, I'm guilty with that Taylor Swift thing
Yeah.
too. So 0 to 10, where do you rank the new album?
Oh, I'm gonna give it like an 8. I really
Okay.
like it. I like
Yeah.
a good happy Taylor. I know
Yeah.
everybody so far is kind of getting on her for, like, oh, it's too I don't care, man. I let her go live her best life, you know?
Perfect answer. How about the favorite vacation you ever been on?
I did a Mediterranean cruise a couple years ago for a birthday
Okay.
with some girlfriends, and it was amazing. We went Italy, and we stopped in like the Amalfi Coast. We hit Sicily, then we went to Santorini and Mykonos in Greece, and then we even went to Turkey, and we ended in Athens. And it was amazing. Like we had such a great time, such a cool experience to go all sorts of different places like that.
Okay.
I would go back to Greece tomorrow if I
Okay.
could. I mean, today, we still got time today. I could probably catch a flight.
Okay. So Greece
Yeah.
on that Mediterranean, was that the best stop on that Mediterranean
I
cruise?
think Mykonos for me was. Yeah, I
Okay.
loved
Okay.
Mykonos, and we were on a cruise, right? So they make you get back, at a certain time, which
Yeah.
I don't feel like we had nearly enough time there. We had
Okay.
to be back on the ship at like 6 o'clock. So I would definitely go back, spend a lot more time there.
Okay, because I'm relatively fresh off of like I went to Italy for like two and a
Oh,
half weeks. We went like in the beginning of the
Italy.
summer, and we
Yeah.
did Amalfi Coast, and that
Yes.
was phenomenal. Where did you stop in the Amalfi
Just
Coast?
Sorrento.
Okay, okay,
But I loved it. It was beautiful. I definitely a cruise is great because it gives you a little taste of a lot of places, but
okay.
I would love to go back and
Yes.
spend a lot more time and just be able to, do everything. Like, I wanna go do the Blue Grotto in Capri.
Yes.
Wanna do all those
Okay.
things.
Yes. So I would say Capri,
Yeah.
Positano, amazing. So
Yes.
you got to get back there for sure.
Those
Well,
tiny
those were
little roads there, right? Did you
it's wild. Oh, in the
Oh, yeah.
hills, and
The
it's
driving?
wild, but it's just a different world. So
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So phenomenal answers. I loved
Right.
everything. Like I just want to ask you more questions because I feel like
Let's
we're on
do
the
it.
same page with a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff. But we will conclude this here. What are you most grateful for? What are you most grateful for in life at this time?
Oh, man. I think probably the freedom and the flexibility that my 9 to 5, my day job gives me, to be able to do the fun things that I enjoy, like fantasy football, all my other, interests and hobbies too. I'm really, really grateful for the ability to do that because not a lot of people do that. I have friends that work in, bigger firms where their time is very monitored, and they can't take off in the afternoon to go do something interesting, or they can't take off a ton of time in August and back to back and go to, Vegas and do drafts, go to the Fantasy Football Expo and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very grateful for the time and the flexibility that my job has given me right now.
That does remind me. It's a great answer. You mentioned Vegas. Did you
Yeah,
go to a high stakes
I
draft?
do every
You did?
year.
Okay. Okay, talk about that. Talk about
Oh,
that experience because that's a whole 'nother level that a
yeah.
lot of people probably are really interested in. So we're
So
not concluding, we're not stopping this. We're going on.
yes,
Talk about the high stakes drafts because that's
yeah.
really intriguing.
So I that's kind of like really so 2019, I kind of started branching out with my fantasy football, and my cousin runs the Kentucky State Fantasy Football Championship, and so he talked me into going to that event in Louisville, and so that's how I found out about this Vegas event. I had
Okay.
no idea and that world even existed. Like you hear like high stakes poker, that kind of thing. No clue that they had it for fantasy football. So I
Yeah.
go and I meet all these people. I'm like, this is my tribe. These are my people, right? Like they're all as equally obsessed as me. So the following year, because Vegas is literally like a week after that event. So I wasn't going then. But so the next year I was like, well, I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna go with them, So I go. I wasn't drafting because it's pretty expensive. So the first year, so I was like, I'm gonna go check it out, just hang out with everybody. I did end up drafting because a really good friend of mine that I had made from Kentucky, he had a heart issue and he had to go home early.
Oh,
And so
okay.
he found me and he's like, Stacy, goes, if you're not busy, do you mind drafting this team? And I'm like, Bob, that's a $2,000 team. Are you sure you want me drafting that for you? He's like, no, do it, you know. So I did get to draft, and then the last couple years, that's been a thing. It's on my calendar every single year. I have that time set aside, and going to Vegas for the kickoff of football season. It's like right after Labor Day, so I head out a couple days before, and then they do a big watch. It's with the FFPC.
Okay.
I do a big watch party there on Thursday night, and then this year, a really cool event that I got to go to. So I went to doing my drafting there. And then the FFWC was hosting a big event for the Friday night party over at Circa. I had not been to Circa. And one of my friends, Adam Krautwurst, who works with them, invited me. So I got to go, and we all were hanging out in the owner's suite. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what has my life come to? I'm like watching Friday night football in Vegas at the poolside at the Circa. It's wild.
Amazing. So
Yeah,
highly recommended to do that for people that,
definitely.
can do
Yeah,
it.
and I don't want people to, like, think, because I get a lot of, like, like, "Oh, high stakes, it's too much, like, I can't spend that kind of money." Here's the thing, if you're gonna go spend, 25 a pop on best balls and do 100 plus of them, put and play with, like, 600,000 other
Yeah.
people. Go spend 300 bucks and do a tournament that maybe you're in with, only a couple hundred or
Yeah.
something like that. You have a much better chance of winning. I think it's better bang for your buck. And then if, like, if you're good at it, you're winning a lot, you can kind of roll all that stuff over. So it's not nearly as inaccessible as a lot of people think it is. So I'm a big proponent, because that's what kept me out of it for so long. I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm not gonna spend that kind of money, that's crazy." But, then you get in doing it, and then you can play with other people, and there's so many ways to do it that it makes it manageable. So if people are interested in that, I think they should definitely check it out.
What about people that are interested in just attending, like going to check?
Yeah.
Is it worth just going to be an observer?
Oh, yeah, because, like, especially the Kentucky event is always one of my favorites, because you're kind of at this one casino, and where you are, you're actually in Indiana, because you can't gamble in Kentucky. But, you're making so many friends, and you're meeting so many people. I mean, I think I only did about 3 drafts this year, but I went out for the whole weekend, or just specifically because there's a group of people that I get to see. That's the only time I get to see them. And so,
Love
like,
it.
I'm like, I know I'm gonna go this year, so we can make sure to do our Sunday dinner at the steakhouse and catch up with my crew, and, see all these guys that I've just gotten to be, like, such good friends with. So, yeah, definitely go hang out, just get to know people.
I love your dedication. It's
Thanks.
amazing. It's great. Can you name a few of the people that have just had a huge impact on you during your journey in this community?
Oh, yeah, I had to make a list. So, I've got a few on here. But first and foremost, obviously Jorge Edwards, giving me the chance to, do a dynasty show on his platform, for somebody who didn't know anything about dynasty coming into it. Also Jim Bednar. He is one of my best friends in the community. We met at the Kentucky event several years ago, and now we play high stakes together. So we're a team with that, and he's just like my sounding board for, like, all the content stuff, and helping me with ideas and things like that. And um Eric Balkman from the FFPC, that was the first ever podcast I went on. So he's amazing. Bob Harris and Jim Coventry have been just, like, so supportive. I love the two of them so much. And Theo Greminger from Fantasy Points has also just been, like, one of the best, and just somebody that I've really looked up to for a long time. And he's actually who brought me over to Player Profiler. So, and then last but not least, I've got one more. My friend Adam Krautwurst from the Deep End Full Time Fantasy, FFWC. He's just been so great in helping me with so many different opportunities and things. So I know I'm probably missing so many people, but those were the top ones that really kind of came to mind.
That's a great list for sure. Now, is there
Thanks.
anything we haven't covered? Any miscellaneous topics that you want to share before we close things out?
Oh gosh. Man, I can't think. We've talked about so much. I can't think of anything else. Maybe just we can just ask the players all together, like, please, no more injuries.
Please.
Can we maybe is there a way to, like, make that stop happening? I wish I could figure something out like
Oh,
that,
I love it. Yeah, no, it's bad. It seems like every year it's bad, but this is just one of the quirkiest ones. We'll
It's
see.
wild.
We'll see what happens. Obviously, best of luck in all your leagues. Hopefully, you can
Thanks, same.
survive.
Right?
Last thing, do you have a Super Bowl prediction? I'm taking Super Bowl predictions at this time.
Ooh,
What do you got?
man. I don't want to say Chiefs. I don't want to say Chiefs, but I feel like that might just be inevitable. The beginning of the season, I would have said the Packers because they looked unstoppable. Not so much this season, but you know what though? You know what? I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna be a little bit of a homer. I'm gonna say the Bucks. I'm gonna go with
I
the
love it.
Bucks. Going to the Super Bowl.
How about a Bucks Seahawks NFC Championship, and we
Yeah.
just see what happens.
I would love for that game to happen again because that was one of the most fun games that I've watched all year. Like, I love it.
And I have a problem internally. I this show's just gonna keep going, but I internally, my daughter and I, she's about to be 13. We just watched like the Baker Mayfield like undercover thing with Eli
Yes.
Manning. We
Yep,
watched it
yep.
last night, and I know that was probably like last year or something. But now I got a Baker Mayfield fan in my
Oh,
house.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Big
So,
time, big
uh,
time.
okay. So Bucks,
Yeah.
Chiefs, who's winning that?
I gotta say the Bucks. We have to go with the Bucks.
Okay.
We can't let the Chiefs keep getting away with it. No, Bucks are gonna win.
All right, I love it. Can you tell the listeners and viewers where to find you?
Yeah, so I'm online pretty much everywhere. Same handle, Stacy_Perez 83. I do a lot. I've been trying to do a lot more on TikTok. I'm Stacy P83 there. But yeah, you can find me there. Fantasy and Frames over at Player Profiler 2 and Sunday mornings with the Degens on Player Profiler now.
There we go. Stacy Perez. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was a ton of fun. Can't wait to see what's
Thank
next
you.
for you. I can't wait to see you, in Canton or wherever.
Yeah, exactly.
Best of luck, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.